Thank you very much. It's quite fun.
It's really the type of question that we want to engage in. Uh, Foreign aid, good, bad, or ugly? Or which part is good and which part may be less than good, and how to make foreign aid good. Because it may not be simply a question of what foreign aid is, but how it is used and so on and so forth. As Faisal mentioned, LUMS is a appropriate place to have this discussion, not only because this is an institution where some of the original funding came from foreign assistance, without which it probably couldn't have been launched in the way it was, although much of it came from local sources. But if you look at the history of the institution, both of those have been central, and there's this tension, the creative tension between the type of assistance that is used in institution building. What I wanted to do was to maybe start with a round of opening ideas on this larger question of the costs and benefits of foreign assistance, particularly to a country like Pakistan, but also foreign assistance in general. What has been the experience? There has been a series of events before this that Faisal also mentioned, where this discussion has been going on. And what we want to do now is to build on it. We have a truly distinguished panel, and I'm honestly elated to have them here at LUMS. We have Andy Sisson, who in fact is visiting LUMS for the second time. We were fortunate to have him come here and speak to our students some months back. Andy is the head of USAID in Pakistan. We have Shahid Hafiz Kardar, clearly one of Pakistan's most eminent economists, one of our most eminent economic thinkers. We have His Excellency Adam Thompson, the High Commissioner of the United Kingdom. We have Dr. Sohail Naqvi, the Executive Director of the Higher Education Commission. Finally, we have our very own, and always extremely glad to have our very own Dr. Ijaz Nabi, yet another of the leading economists of Pakistan, someone who's thought about these things in deep fashions, first at the World Bank, and until recently here at LUMS as the Dean of our School of Humanities, Social Sciences and Law. So as I said, this is about as wonderful a panel as I could have hoped for. And the question, gentlemen, is before you. The costs and benefit of foreign aid.
A great opportunity to talk both theoretically, pros and cons, but hopefully it's a good chance for me to dispel at least a couple of myths or conspiracies swirling out there about US and USAID in Pakistan. We've been here for over 50 years, and helping establish LUMS is one of the greatest investments we've made in this country. We've also helped similarly IBA in Karachi, Faisalabad, and now we're working with the Higher Education Commission to support other universities in Pakistan. We have scholarship programs underway, including with HEC, 10,000 scholarships for needy, really smart Pakistani kids in the past few years. Some of them are here at LUMS. But the U.S. generally provides humanitarian aid if there's an emergency, whatever the country, whatever the politics. So for instance, in Cuba, North Korea, Iran, we have provided foreign aid recently for emergencies, even though we don't even have diplomatic relations with those countries. And here in Pakistan, in the past 2.5 years, we've dispersed approximately $1.3 billion in emergency aid, or humanitarian aid following emergencies or for social safety nets. For instance, the Citizens Damage Compensation Program with the British and others, $190 million, Benazir Income Support Program, Malakand in internally displaced people, plus all of the food aid, tents, water. Americans believe in providing foreign aid for emergencies in times of need. We have a lot of controversy in the U.S. about foreign aid in general. Currently, besides that, we focus on 5 broad areas: energy, economic growth, stabilization, particularly in FATA and KP, education, and health. Energy is our top priority. We've recently added 400 megawatts to the grid, helping build Gomulzam Sakhara Dam. It's the largest, for USAID, it's our largest civil society program in the world. We have 3 programs run by Pakistani NGOs for Pakistani NGOs. We've already, through that, awarded over 100 grants to Pakistani NGOs in such areas as gender-based violence, advocacy on energy, or community water supply. And we're going to ramp that up to 1,000 grants in the next few years.
The reality is that it is an unintended effect of why they want to help us. The fact that it postpones reform is really one of the unintended consequences of that. And there is no doubt that it has created a culture of dependency. The one thing that we keep forgetting is that we are a country of 180 million people. No one, I repeat, no one in the world, especially struggling with their own financial problems, has their own kind of deep pockets to help us out. So we have to fix our own state, society, and economy. And the reality is, and I do not know, that's the question we must ask ourselves, is the dominant political, economic, military, and bureaucratic elite willing to recognize that the realities have changed?
The best aid levers open better, more accountable government. There is a degree of conditionality. So although British aid is untied, we don't make it conditional on political action. We don't make it conditional on working with British companies. We do make it conditional on human rights, for example, and on high levels of accountability. Pakistan is a country that can afford to do without aid if it so chose, and it therefore has the leverage to shape aid for its own purposes. So I just echo Shahid on closing my second point, in that in Pakistan sorting itself out and working out how it wants to engage with foreign donors.
Because higher education in general may be one of those institutions where
Aid per se is just basically money, and money can be used for good and bad purposes, but it will depend upon your own ability as to how you're going to guide that. And if the aid is being wasted, then it is mostly a reflection of what you are doing with it. But there can be, and there is always a severe problem if you mix aid with politics and if you start tying strings to it. That is when the things start going south very quickly.
We would be assessing aid on 3 benchmarks. 2 in service delivery. And in a sense, we would be assessing our own performance on these benchmarks and then seeing whether aid helped us achieve the benchmarks. In service delivery, on infrastructure delivery, we have done reasonably well. Compared to other countries at our income level, infrastructure services, roads, drinking water, believe it or not, despite the load shedding, electrification rates, etc., we are above average. Social delivery, awful. We are far below average. To me, an extremely important benchmark is how competitiveness our industry is. Because at the end of the day, what matters for Pakistan is overall economic growth and the jobs that are created by that growth. And on that score, and on that benchmark, I'm afraid our performance has not been very good. And engagement by the donors has been primarily, in recent years, has been primarily in the form of conditionality to get policy reform.